And welcome back. We have a 2002 Chevy Impala with a P0401. And I would show you the code on my scanner, but unfortunately the battery died, so the codes were deleted. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. This code is a generic code, meaning you can find it in almost every make and model, and it's pretty much the same premise on all of them. It's called that for a reason. The EGR, exhaust gas recirculation. So basically, there's a pipe coming off your exhaust system, and it's gonna go up through the pipe, eventually reach the valve, and the valve's either gonna open or close depending on whatever the computer wants it to do, and it's gonna allow those gases to be introduced right back into the intake manifold to kind of be like recycled. So the idea is pretty much the same on every EGR valve. So unless you have this same exact vehicle, your experience is gonna differ as far as the setup, but you could pretty much take what you see here and apply it to your engine. At the beginning of the video, you seen I had a brand new EGR valve, and that's because most times when people get this code, they automatically assume it's the EGR valve and just go out and buy one. But most times that you get this code, it's actually not the EGR valve. So we're just gonna start digging into it and find out what's going on here. The first step is to check the EGR valve, and to do that we want to get it off of the vehicle. As I showed earlier, it's only held on by 3 fasteners. So sometimes these fasteners can come off pretty easy, sometimes they can put up a fight. For a job like this, it's really handy to have a magnet with you, because a lot of times these fasteners are really hard to reach places where you can't quite get your fingers into. So a magnet does a great job just to ensure that you don't drop any of the fasteners. And with the EGR off of the vehicle, now we can go ahead and inspect it. Now I'm trying to get my camera to focus so we can look inside of here, but it's kind of difficult. But based off of what I see here, this looks pretty clean, and we're gonna go ahead and look through the other hole on the back side, and pretty much the same exact thing here. It's pretty clean. Now if you were to see crazy amounts of carbon in here, or just really gunked up inside of there, then that might be your problem right there, and you could always try cleaning that out. If you can't clean it out, then you may have to replace your EGR valve. But what I did here is I actually reconnected the harness, and I'm using my scanner to command it open, and as you see, I blew into it and I could actually blow right through it, showing that the EGR valve itself is functioning. And now once I close it, I can't blow through it at all. So the EGR valve works perfectly fine, and there's no restrictions inside of it. So I'm just gonna go ahead, unplug it, and put it aside for now and just keep looking. I have a rubber fuel line here that I'm gonna use to blow air into the pipe that's going to the exhaust system. Number one, I don't want to put my lips on that pipe, and number two, even if I wanted to, I can't really get to it because it's such in a tight space. So as you can see, the rubber hose kind of fits in there really nice and snug, and now I could blow into here. Now there should not be any type of restriction at all. You should be able to blow right into the exhaust. If you can't blow any air into it, then that's your problem right there, and you want to make sure you clean out that passageway for air to get through it. Now if you follow the passage for the EGR system, you're going to see that it just kind of loops around the bottom, and it actually ends up right behind the throttle body. So we're going to have to get all of this stuff out of the way so we could get to the throttle body and then remove it. At this point, we know that the EGR valve itself is functional and it's free of any restrictions, and we also know that the pipe that's going to the exhaust is also free of any restrictions. At this point, we want to remove anything that's in our way. We want to get to the throttle body, so that may include brackets, vacuum hoses, connectors for sensors. You want to make sure you don't break anything, by the way. The intake tube for sure. You may have to remove your entire airbox depending on how your car is set up. Now, as you can see on this throttle body, we have two rubber hoses coming right at the bottom, and that's basically that's antifreeze that's circulating through the throttle body. A lot of cars are set up like this. So once you disconnect those two hoses, you might get some coolant leaking out of them. In my case, I did not get anything leaking out. So once that's all taken care of, you just want to keep going forward with removing any fasteners that are holding on the throttle body. And now that we have the throttle body completely loose, we're just going to grab it and put it aside for now. Now you want to keep track of the gasket, because if you lose or damage the gasket, you're going to have to buy a new one, and nobody wants to do that. So looking inside of the intake manifold, you could actually see this is the EGR passage down here, and you can see how it's completely gunked up with carbon, and there's no way that air is going to get through that. And that right there is what's causing our P0401. So your objective is to clean out that passageway to the point where air could flow right through it without any problems. Try to pick out as much of the carbon as you can. The more you could get out, the better. But what's really going to help you in a situation like this is either brake parts cleaner or carb cleaner. You really want to soak it inside of there and really let it saturate. Once all of that's done, the next thing you could do is grab some compressed air. Do you hate when this happens? Stop messing around with those crappy airlines and buy a quality one. Buy a new line now and get not one, not two, but 3 lines for the price of one. Once you're satisfied with the cleaning and you feel like it's gonna allow enough air to pass through it, it's just a matter of cleaning up any of the mess that you may have made around here, and really you could just start putting everything back together. And this air filter has definitely seen better days, so I did let the customer know about it, and hopefully they get it changed soon. And now is the time to just look over everything. You want to double check all of your work, make sure everything is plugged in and secure, because you don't want to create any more check engine lights. Whether you disconnected your battery or you use the scanner to delete the codes, all of these tests are going to reset and they all have to clear before you can take your car in for emission testing. But the only one we're worried about is the EGR system. So in order for mine to clear, I had to drive it on the expressway for about 15 minutes. Simply driving it on the streets was not going to cut it. And as you can see, it did clear. So we're just waiting on those last two to clear, which they will because we did not have a fault code for them. So this car will pass emissions now. Let's go down and check, and there you go, EGR system monitor. Okay, so that's a fix. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're considering subscribing, don't forget to hit that notification bell. And like always, thanks for watching.